Why you keeping me waiting? Be so long. Why you keeping me waiting?
Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. I've done close to 3,000 shows and rarely. Hey, welcome back. What? I'm sorry about that. Hold on. I've done close to 3,000 shows. Sorry about that. The YouTube window opened up and I'm listening to myself. Rarely have I ever said to my audience, no, you have to take this. This is something. In fact, I don't think I've ever said you have to take this. I've recommended things that work, but I let the audience decide for themselves. But I'm going to make a statement right now. You need to be taking this probiotic, and everybody in your family needs to be taking this probiotic. And I know that's a strong statement, but when we start to talk about it, you're going to realize that I'm right. I want to thank our title sponsor, and that is Legendary Foods, makers of the tasty pastry. Somebody's rearranged things on my screen here. Well, I don't see it here, but okay. The tasty pastry is the answer to the Pop-Tart. Less than 1 gram of sugar, 4 to 5 net carbs, 20 grams of high quality dairy protein. Oh, there it is. There it is. It was right there. But now Legendary has made their new sweet roll, which is unbelievable. The cinnamon one really tastes like you're eating a Cinnabon. Once again, 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of protein, 4 to 5 net carbs. They are the masters of making snack foods that you don't have to feel guilty about eating. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10. Let them know that you learned about their product from the show. And now, without further delay, I was having a very, very exciting conversation about other things with my good friend, Wade Lightheart. How you doing, Wade?
I'm doing great today.
You think my audience would be surprised to hear the conversation that we just had?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting place how most people end up as advocates of a healthy lifestyle.
And where they start out.
It's usually when they get clear about what an unhealthy lifestyle is. and that takes on many forms, not just what you eat and what you do.
Right. So we're talking about L. plantarum today, and you've heard us talk about it before, but I when you look at the research, so every week there's a new probiotic. Oh, you got to take this, and here's why. And there's a couple studies that show this. L. plantarum is quite possibly one of the most studied probiotics in the world. In fact, it's the creatine of probiotics. You know, there's so much research on how effective creatine is that it's a given. You don't even have to talk about it anymore. That's what L. plantarum is in the probiotic world. The research behind it shows that it's effective not just the reducing bloating and gassiness, but its survivability in the gastric juices is undeniable. You called it the what did you call it? The Navy SEAL of
the
probiotics?
Navy SEALs of probiotics, and we can make that claim simply because there's 6 particular tests that are done for all probiotics that determine whether or not, what's the efficacy in different environments and different situations. And our research lab at Brooch University, we have, I think now 19 people working there, PhDs, master students, are running a barrage of tests. So we can look at all this stuff. And what's fascinating is that P3OM, and just to qualify, the L. plantarum strain that we do it's a cultured enzyme that we put into a toxic soup. The survivors, we grew on a special medium. We ran a sine wave through the toxic soup. And so there's about 2% of those will survive in the most extreme conditions. And then we build those remaining ones on special prebiotic mediums. And we tested a whole bunch of different prebiotic mediums so that these probiotics are enhanced over and above the regular L. plantarum. So we took the most aggressive survivable strain, mutated it, got a patent for it, and from that we ran those tests again. And it's an amazing probiotic. Like it's like whatever you throw at it, it survives. You know, whether it's the digestive system, whether it's antibiotics, whether it's toxic substances, it improves just about everything. So it becomes kind of like the all-purpose. That's why we call it the Navy SEALs. It's like you toss it in that environment, it's going to find a way to win.
So let's just start with the basic benefits of using this patented form of L. plantarum. It can actually treat ulcerative colitis.
Yes.
A lot of people probably don't know that, but it also is not. It's also so good for your gut. It reduces gassiness. It improves tight junctions. We hear a lot of talk about tight junctions leading to when they're not tight, leading to leaky gut. It actually improves tight junctions. What are some of the basics that we've talked about before? Just run through some of them.
Sure. So the biggest thing is, like you said, it can persist in the digestive tract. And a lot of probiotics just don't. You're not really getting any benefit of them. They're dead before you get them.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is it's a cofactor in the delivery of a whole lot of other things that you might be taking. So particularly where I think it's very strong is in regards to any protein undigested inside the intestinal tract, because that feeds pathogenic bacteria, right? This is where all the dysbiosis and pathogenic indole, scadol, all those things are made from those toxic substances. Well, it'll eat that stuff up, and then that will starve out essentially the bad guy. So some of the benefits, though, other than improving your protein absorption, digestion, and assimilation, mental clarity, brain fog. So brain fog is when you wake up in the morning with crusty eyes and that sort of stuff, is really bacteria that is producing toxins that are literally leaking out of your brain. That's what's causing that. So it's disrupting brain function. Sleep and recovery. I always take mine, just so people know. I take 4 capsules just before I go to bed every night, and it just kind of cleans up the system. So that's a big thing. Muscle gain. So one of the things, if you look at, there was one of our researchers was over at the peptide conference that just happened the other week, and really informed people. What's different, say, about the peptide conference to say other conferences is that all of the people there are not just clinicians, they're practicing. Everybody's fit, everybody's working out, and they're all like, look, you got to get your lifestyle stuff down. And one of the things that they suggested that causes the degeneration as we age was our ability to assimilate and utilize protein inside of the body. And so this will assist in that process, right? The other thing is if you look at it attacking various viruses. So viruses have a protein coating. And inside that coating that's how it interacts with the cells. What's cool about L. plantarum is it identifies pathogenic viruses, sees the protein coating, and go digest the protein coating off the virus. And they can check out the US patent on our website. I can't make all the claims because they shut you down if you right. But this is what the US patent, so that you can read the US patent stuff about what it does against particular viruses, retroviruses, things like that. It's really interesting. And then another unique benefit of it is it's one of the factors that is supportive of other healthy bacteria strains. So its ability to optimize your microbiome, because your microbiome is going to be determined largely in part by your diet. So, like I always say, my business partner is a keto guy and I'm a plant-based guy. And we're about as far on the spectrum as you can get, because those are the digestive, or those are the diets that support, his genetics versus my genetics and chosen lifestyle. And guess what? L-plantarum works both for his microbiome and for my microbiome, because it allows the supporting bacteria to flourish by beating out the bad guys. Essentially, that's what it does. It kicks the bad guys out, and that's the bacteria that you need in order to digest your food. So that's really a great component inside of that. So, and then I think overall, the immune system function support. 80% of your immune system is your digestive health system, right? And I think that, to just give a testimonial, I've been using this product now for 2 decades. I've only been sick once in 2 decades. And that sickness was literally, I got the COVID, and I could feel my immune. Usually when I feel something coming on, I just double or triple down on my P3OM, and then it wipes it out. And this time my body couldn't figure out, I could felt that it wasn't. So, so I'm not saying that it goes again. It doesn't, there's some of these things that it's not the be all and end all. But what I can say is, in that 20 years, I haven't had any other sickness. Anytime I feel something, it goes on. And then the third thing I think, which is really neat, is anybody that has food poisoning, you want to see the efficacy of this. You get food poisoning. I give it to all my friends. I've got over 100 personal examples of people who were literally in excruciating pain. I need to go to the hospital with food poisoning. I say, take a handful of these, and then 30 minutes later, they're fine. It's that aggressive.
Yeah, it's a strong antimicrobial, antibacterial, and it just devours pathogens. Some of the research shows that. I think one of the most interesting things about this form of probiotic is that it has powerful antioxidant effects. I've never heard any probiotic discuss that it has antioxidant effects, and the antioxidant effects are attributed to its ability to clear up ulcerative colitis. The antioxidant effects actually improve the functionality of the lining of the intestines.
And I can share, we have what's called an HPLC machine at the university, where we actually measure what probiotics make. And you're right, Carl, I can confirm what you're saying, is its ability to make a variety of antioxidants is superior to any other bacteria that we've tested. And we've tested virtually every probiotic available commercially and prescription-wise out there. Just hundreds and hundreds, because that's what they do. They're experts in microbiome, and we run those tests. And I didn't know that either before we partnered up with the lab, and they were able to demonstrate us these antioxidants that the probiotics actually make. I will add, for people out there, as a sidebar, they're probably going to hate me for saying this at the lab because they're doing some publications on this, but if you stack magnesium with any of your probiotics, it generally has a positive impact in antioxidant production.
Why is that?
I don't know what the mechanism is. I'd have to defer to Monia, who runs our lab. Maybe one day we'll get her on.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Once the papers are published, she'll be able to probably explain the mechanisms. But one of the things that we're working on, I can say this, is we're looking at actually using L-plantarum as a delivery mechanism for a whole bunch of things, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, by putting them, bathing them. So for example, if, let's say you're a person that is deficient in a certain vitamin, we can grow that medium in high dosages of that vitamin. And then as you insert it into the body, you'll be able to deliver it, because everybody has a range of what they're able to absorb. So we're working on that technology right now as a delivery agent. And she believes that antibiotics, are going to be the future, because we're going to be, she says in 10 to 20 years, we're in the post-antibiotic age. In other words, all antibiotics are going to not work at all. Right. And that's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem.
Right.
And it's emerging with these wound healing clinics, like people getting these flesh-eating disease and antibiotic-resistant bacteria. I have a friend, Dr. Horst Filzer. He runs a clinic in Bullhead City,
Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada, and he's part of he was the guy that put the first stent in the body. He's a vascular surgeon. He's Bruce,
Wow.
Harvard, great guy, and he said that technology has improved in surgery radically. In the fact that he says what he was doing 40 years ago versus now, it's not even comparable. The recovery time, the speed. He goes, but he says nowadays 50% of the people who die in surgery die from infection. And Plantarum, I just had a couple of surgeries recently, and I didn't use any antibiotics. I didn't use any pain. In fact, my surgeon said he felt that I would get better results from using the Plantarum, and I did. So that was remarkable. No painkillers and no antibacterial agents.
In fact, in one of the papers I read, it implied that because Plantarum is literally indestructible in the digestive tract, that it could be a Trojan horse type thing. What you just said, it for drug delivery and delivery of proteins. Into that doctors can't deliver any other way. So that's fascinating that it's so indestructible by the GI tract that you can actually use it to deliver other things. It's fascinating. Right. Yeah. I also saw a study, and I didn't read it too deep, but I saw a study that shows that Plantarum is effective at fighting off HIV, acquired immune syndrome. Have you seen any of that information at all?
Well, I will refer people to our website, and they can read the patent. So because we live in a very highly regulated environment, I can't make any claims in that level. But the patent that was granted to P3OM, Plantarum, the OM strain, technically, they can read it on our site, and I'll let the reading do. Right. But I can say that I personally suggest people who are dealing with that to investigate that deeply. It's a fascinating product, and it's a fascinating bacteria, and it's one of the reasons why that was our very first probiotic that we started using in the company, because we said, Bioptimizers, kind of our psychology is, we only do a product if we think we can make the best product in a given class. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's our etymology. We don't build it on margin. We don't build it on things. It's like, is there a problem that we can solve, and can we be the best in that class? And if we can't be the best in that class, we don't bother trying. We go, hey, you know what? Bob or Mary makes this product. We think that's the best in class. Go get that. That's our attitude. Right. And I'm confident to say I'll put P3OM against any single bacteria strain on the planet. No questions asked. We got the research to show its efficacy, right? I'm sitting here on all this information here from our research facility. All this kind of technical stuff on biofilm formulation and inhibitory concentration and antibacterial effect with all these numbers. And this, antibiotic susceptibility, it's resistant to antibiotics. It assists in coagulation of other probiotics. It helps with formation of biofilm to protect yourself from leaky gut. It's aggressive against pathogens of all kinds, I mean, you're looking at this and you're like, is this real? It's acidity. It can tolerate pH ranges as low as 1.7.
Yeah, that's hydrochloric acid.
Yeah. There's almost no probiotic. In fact, actually, excuse me, here I got it surviving 1.1. I don't know of any other probiotic strains that can handle that.
Exactly. And like I said, that's hydrochloric acid. When you're down in the pH of 1, that's hydrochloric acid.
Correct.
So people who have a child on the spectrum, and there's even adults on the spectrum.
That's right.
A friend of mine was just talking about this. We know a guy, and he has a lot of bizarre behavior, and we have observed what he eats. And I was saying to my friend Brian, you know, your diet has a big effect on mood and behavior. People don't get that. They just don't understand it. They think that what you eat has no effect on behavior.
Correct.
That's a lie. That's a blatant lie. But there are people out there who have children on the spectrum. And the biggest problem with children on the spectrum is behavior.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's the behavior. They fly off the handle. They become violent. They become moody. They become uncontrollable. Any parent that has a child on the spectrum knows that behavior is the big challenge, getting them to do things. And as I said before, I interviewed a physician probably 12 years ago who wrote a book from the UK, and she talked about that children on the spectrum also have food sensitivities. I don't mean food sensitivities like they eat something, they break out, but foods, they gravitate towards sugar.
That's
Children
right.
on the spectrum all gravitate towards sugar. You can try to feed them a hot dog, they won't eat it, but they'll eat crap. They'll eat Hostess Twinkies and stuff, and like it's going out of style. And so she experimented with giving her son Plantarum, and it wasn't even the advanced form that you've patented, the OM form. And he evolved. He became less argumentative. He was making more eye contact. She was able to hug him without him and it was a touching story. And I'm sure this is out there. I'm sure if you Google Plantarum and autism spectrum disorder, you will find a schwack of studies now because of what she discovered. So, but your child doesn't have to have autism spectrum disorder for you to give them Plantarum, because like we were talking about the guy, my friend and I were talking about this fella who has these bizarre mood and behavioral things. He's probably not on the spectrum, but his food is antagonizing his brain, and he is reacting to that constant antagonizing. You can have a child who is moderately combative, and you could start getting that child to take something in their diet and find out, like fish oil is notorious for people who have children on the spectrum. It seems to calm them. And well, I would suggest you give your children Plantarum, because they will interact with the world better. They will not have the problems that you hope. You know, we all want our children to go out into the world and get along and be productive, but some of them have personality issues, and you know it. You know your kid does. Give Plantarum a try. Give P3OM a try. Taylor C is asking, where can we get it? I just want to put this up. We're going to run commercials for this anyway, but I just want to put this up. It's up at the top here. Let me go get it. But this is where you can get it. And bam. You can go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM and use the coupon code SHR10 to save 10% off, but also hang around the website and look, because they have bundles that you can take advantage of that will give you even deeper discounts. And this was what Bioptimizers does, is they reward people who use their products and allow them to buy products cheaper and cheaper. And they have a money-back guarantee that's unheard of in the supplement industry. shrnetwork.biz/P3OM. That's P3- or -OM. SHR10 is the code. Explain the warranty. The guarantee.
Yeah. So all of our products have a 365-day money-back guarantee, and that means that when you try our product, if for any reason it doesn't outperform everything that you've ever tried and meets your rigorous expectations, and I think when you purchase a product, you have an expectation around that, we just give you your money back, right? We teach you how to take it, how to use it, how to optimize it. And if it doesn't deliver on what we say for whatever reason, Okay, great. Guess what? Let us know. We just give you your money back so you can redeploy that to another experiment so that you move yourself towards better health. The reality is not every product is right for every person. I think P3OM is one of those categories that is, but we have lots of different products at Bioptimizers that we use. And is it the right product for you? Well, guess what? We just de-risk it. It's really simple. And just so people know, I know most of the guys in our field, and we have the absolute lowest refund rate of any one of my colleagues in the industry. We share information, and we all feel that we're part of a team of colleagues that are moving people to an alternative paradigm of health. And you've been on that mission for a long time, Carl, about explaining to people that there are. You bring on different people and different guests and different things to help people educate themselves outside of the advertising pharmaceutical industrial complex. Not to put them under the bus, but it's not like that's the only pathway.
Right.
That treats the symptoms. We're here to work on optimizing the billions of years of evolution that you're a product of, with things that are proven by science and biology. And it's exciting.
But ignored by the medical orthodoxy.
Correct.
That's always stifled me. It's like, how could you ignore evolution in medicine? How? Like, they don't ask the question, why is this happening to this person? What evolutionary edict is it serving? And how do we fix it? They just go for, you have pain, take this painkiller. The pain went away. No, the pain went away, but I'm still broken. Fix me. It's just terrible.
Well, if there's anything that we've learned in the last 2 years, is the absolute corruption, and that's the word I'm using, inside the highest levels of the authorities that we trust with our health. The evidence is all in. The suppression is real of these things that we're advocating for. And the reality is people who didn't believe that are now faced with the realities of, you just can't trust people for what they say. That's why we give a money back guarantee. Hey, don't trust me. I always say, trust but verify. The old Ronnie Reagan line. Hey, you know what? Take a shot on it. Maybe Wade's right. Maybe Carl's right. And if we're not right, no problem. I'm going to give you your money back. Thanks for taking a shot. Redeploy that to the next thing. But I think people will be very impressed. And that's worked for us. We've been around for 20 years. And the reason, because we stick to our guns and we do what's right, and people become fans. They become super fans. Your sound kind of all went sideways there, Carl.
I have my mixer board is
there you go.
The potentiometer must be going. I just have to get a new mixer board. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay with us. Don't go away. We'll be right back. P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactibacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L. plantarum's strength. So it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. There have been no real breakthroughs in resistance training for over 200 years. Whether it's pulleys or free weight, they all depend on gravity and the angles associated with gravity's effect directly on the weight. All of that has changed with the ARX machine. ARX stands for adaptive resistance. The ARX machine uses a 25 horsepower motor. You are literally fighting against a 25 horsepower motor. So every single rep is your 1 rep maximum at that motor. moment in time. But ARX leverages another technique that has been known to produce rapid muscle gains and strength. And that is it leverages the eccentric or negative portion of the rep, which completely blows every other exercise and resistance training product out of the water. Go to shrnetwork.biz/ARX and discover the future of resistance training.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/MyPillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Okay, I have to first confess. I've given up caffeine again for the 6,732nd time. But I'm not going back this time. I really am not. I'm 4 days in. I'm bleary headed. The fatigue is soul crushing right now. I trained this morning, and I forced myself to train on my ARX machine, and that thing just wears me out.
That thing's intense.
Yeah, and I do a 5x5. I do a power lift.
Are you kidding me?
No, I do a 5. We had a guy on the show this week, and the show will be published this weekend. He put on 7.5 pounds of muscle in a month with his ARX machine, following my training protocol.
Wow, that's amazing. You ought to publish that.
Yeah,
send it to those guys.
No, they've been really generous with me. I mean, they really have. But I've given up caffeine again, and I know there are people in my audience slapping their foreheads, going, "Please call." Like, how many times are you going to keep? Elisa says it to me. I said I'm giving up caffeine again. She goes, right. But no, I really am, because it's destroying me. It really it's having some really horrible negative effects on my physiology now, and so I'm giving it up. So I can't think straight. I had the wrong placard up during the commercial, and I didn't I was like just gazing at oh my God, wait a minute, that's supposed to be. Yeah, so just tolerate me. Also, I want to take 1 second to shamelessly pimp Gun Leash. If you're watching this show right now or listening to the show, my invention Gun Leash launches in December, and we are really doing some exciting things with it. If you want to know about the investment, email me at onair@superhumanradio.net, and I'll explain everything to you. That's all I'm going to say about that. So we have questions and comments, so let's get to these first. So Taylor C says, are there any foods rich in this particular strand? No, not the patented one, but are there any foods that have L-plantarum in them?
I'm not aware of any particular thing. Most of the foods that we get have been already irradiated and pasteurized. And so it's very hard to get this in your natural diet.
Yeah.
It's typically where L-plantarum comes from. It's from, they usually get it out of like cows. It's where they get a lot of that bacteria strain comes from cows.
Really?
Originally, yeah. So, that's where a lot of the original strains were discovered, because cows are very interesting that they have these different stomachs and different digestive processes.
Right.
And L-plantarum is one of the things that keeps cows. It's one of the reasons why cows are celebrated in India. People don't understand this. So why did cows become holy in India? Because starvation was a big factor throughout most of the history. But a cow can survive in almost any conditions. And the thing was, if you had cows, your children would have milk, because if you're starving, you're in a starvation system and you have a cow, the cow will continue to produce milk. And so that's why the cow became sacred in India as something to be protected for everyone, that it would feed everybody. So there's always a historical and practical reason for why religion comes in. And of course, being sick, when you're starving, your immune system is compromised. And I believe that L. plantarum was one of the probiotics that were present in the original cows that were keeping people alive. Just to give you an idea, to go on this pathogen, I'm pulling up some research here about, there's a test it's called the well diffusion assay on the effect of pathogens. So B. spizzinelli, spizzizeni,
Okay.
Spizzizeni, 2 I's. I'm not sure how to spell it. These things are always weird names.
I know.
Right? E. coli, that's 14169. E. coli 25922. So there's different strains. E. faecalis, P. aeruginosa, S. abeni, S. aureus, another one there was 259256538, and S. aureus 12493. These are kind of different strains of very serious pathogenic bacteria. P3OM shows massive inhibition of those bacteria strains.
Wow.
So these are things that really mess people up and contribute to a host of problems inside the body. I think people don't understand that when you're eating food, there is, like, the bridge between us living and dying is the quality of our microbiome. We're actually feeding the bacteria, and the bacteria feed us. So if you wiped out all of your bacteria, and this is one of the problems with the over abuse of antibiotics. Antibiotics don't discriminate. They just wipe out the good, the bad, the ugly. They wipe out everything. And they're effective for that. So anybody that does an antibiotic treatment for whatever reason, one of the things that we suggest is you want to get on P3OM in the morning and at night after for at least 30 to 60 days. And I find 90 days is better. I also suggest one of the cool things that you can do to accelerate the effectiveness, right? You want to get more value. So what you do is you take coconut with the milk and the coconut fiber.
Right.
Blend it up in a blender with your P3OM, and then take it up to room temperature. If you can go higher into the 90s, it's even better. It'll ferment, and it'll start to ferment in a kind of a really cool probiotic. And you can do that, and then you can spoon this stuff in, and it should have a slightly sour taste. If it goes too sour, it goes rancid. So as soon as you get that slightly sour taste, then you refrigerate it. And you can go use this. You can also use it vaginally. A lot of women who have a bunch of bacteria issues and stuff, you can put it topographically, vaginally. It's extremely effective. And when I have people who have severe allergic responses inside the body, I tell them to make that probiotic mix and eat it morning, afternoon, and evening for 3 months with that little probiotic yogurt. You can mix a little bit of protein powder inside of it if you like. Like I like to mix, I got my P3OM chocolate protein powder, or you can mix it with Collagenius is another one, which is
I have Collagenius every morning.
And kids love it. Kids love this stuff. And it's fantastic. And it's amazing. Number one, I always say your number twos will become number ones. The inflammatory response you'll start to see go down in your body in the first couple of weeks. The brain fog starts to clear up. You get really crystal clear. And your diet tends to change. Cravings for sugar drop off. Cravings for sugar is a good indication that your microbiome is off. And I think this is one of the reasons why people who have a very disrupted microbiome will tend to go to carnivore or ketogenic diets. They literally starve out the bad guys. But the problem is, if you don't kill them off,
Yeah, and it's hard.
the
They
second you
spore.
eat sugar, they proliferate again because
Right.
they go into this hibernation thing. And so what people have to realize is, I think those type of diets are very good at removing the agents, but you've got to go in and kill those guys, and that's where the L-plantarum will go in and
Fascinating, because that's a big problem with diets. The elimination diets work. Your symptoms go away, but those bad bacteria, they spore, and they can live in suspended animation until you die. So you have to go in and you have to eradicate them. And the only way to eradicate them is to have another probiotic uproot them and take their place in the stomach. And I never thought about using L-plantarum for that particular reason, because people who use the traveler's distress antibiotic, can't think of the name right now, when they treated people with SIBO, which is 28 days of that traveler's distress antibiotic, it's right at the tip of my tongue. This is the dullness in my brain right now. But they found out that they needed to keep eating the crap food so that those microbiotics would keep eating the antibiotic. If you starved yourself of the bad foods, they spored and they didn't get killed by the antibiotics. So this is fascinating discussion, really.
Well, this is what I was referring to earlier as bacteria as delivery agents for whatever you immerse them in. So that could be sugar, it could be fats, it could be proteins. They are delivery agents, and that's what we're working on over the next few years. And I'm really excited about that by actually thinking in terms of how do I bathe the probiotics that are very effective and use them as delivery agents for a variety of different things. And so it's really important.
Cola Quench asks, are there foods that would conflict with P3OM's desired effects, or other probiotics that would conflict with P3OM's desired effects?
That's a great question. Actually, what's interesting about P3OM, it's actually complementary to virtually all probiotics. And there's a test here. What's it called? Let me just pull this up. Yes. It has to do with, there's tests like there's a urease test, a citrate test, an agar bile, exculin, agar, triple sugar test, iron test, sulfur test, a mannitol test, an oxidized test, and a catalase test. And all of these are referring to different foods of those categories that may cause contraindications that it won't go in. Guess what? L-plantarum survives on all of them.
Wow.
Survives on all of them. It's the only bacteria I know of that survives on all of those conditions.
So I just got out of iron overload, and my gut is feeling really good lately. What does iron do to the microbes in our gut? Does it promote the proliferation of the bad ones? Does it affect the gut in any specific way, to your knowledge? I know we're not talking about this right now, but.
Well, what you want to look at is it's called a TSI test. It's called the triple sugar iron test. And so that refers to, let me just look it up here just to make sure I got it right. So it's determined whether it's going to ferment glucose, lactose, and sucrose, which impact iron proliferation in the body, interesting enough. And some people are more predisposed to that. So you can't just say, hey, this is for everybody. So for example, some people absorb iron very well. Some people don't absorb iron at all. I believe this is, so I'm going outside of the nets here. I believe that the determining factor around iron absorption is your microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest factor. And so iron, interesting enough, and some cultures really celebrate iron. Like I know in the kind of the Persian mystic world, they wanted high levels of iron because they believed it built up the electromagnetic energy. And then you get into other cultures that said iron can cause oxidation inside the body and
It is the most oxidating of anything in our body. It's literally rust. It really is.
That's right. And so if we look at inflammation in general, what is that? Like, it's the silent killer. We're all rusting internally. And I believe that ensuring that you have optimized iron, and this is the mission of my life. This is the mission of my life. We know toxic levels of things, and we know the minimal level of things like RDA, so what pregnant women won't cause a disease. But what we don't know is what is the optimal amount per person. And we're getting closer to that. And I believe we'll be able to get there in the next 10 years with machine learning and running out with all these labs and looking at your genetics and looking at your epigenetics and your gut biome, and then being able to create predictive models that you need this amount of this for this. But we're a ways away from that. We're closer, but a long ways away.
We have to take one more commercial break. And when we come back, we have a couple more questions that I want to get to because they're really interesting questions. Stay with us, please. Stay with us. We'll be right back. There are lots of concerns about food supply today. That's why you need White Oak Pastures. White Oak Pastures will deliver food right to your doorstep. You don't even have to go out and be disappointed by shopping in grocery stores. The finest beef, pork, lamb, duck, and more can be found at White Oak Pastures. And now they even have seafood. And best of all, White Oak Pastures has a negative carbon footprint, which means that you don't have to feel guilty for eating your ribeye. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 15% off. Merrick Health is a premium telehealth platform that connects customers with partnered providers from the comfort of your home. Merrick provides concierge service with your very own patient care provider as your health advocate. You'll go over all your needs and goals, from improving sexual function, hair loss prevention, increased muscle, fat loss, and overall improved performance. Prescribed treatment options can be ordered and shipped directly to you if you meet the requirements, all from the comfort of your home. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Merrick Health. That's MAREKHEALTH, and order your comprehensives and get 10% off with code SHR. Don't forget to add the lab analysis to have results reviewed with potential over-the-counter supplements or treatment recommendations. That's shrnetwork.biz/Merrick Health and use code SHR at checkout. Or order your own desired labs with code SHR and get 10% off your first lab order. Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it. And you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feel-free and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
You know, the gut is amazing. Those of you who remember the nighttime ads to feed a child for $1.35 a week, And
Sally Struthers.
yeah, remember? And you see this child, and it's baby's got this distended stomach. That's called kwashiorkor. And kwashiorkor is a result of deficiency in protein. And what are we buying them? We're buying them rice meal, oatmeal, and we're sending this over so what happens is the gut goes, we need to extract as much protein from this high carbohydrate sand that we're eating. And the gut grows, and the microbiome shifts to protein hungry microbes. And now you have a larger surface area, and they're trying to extract as much protein from that rice and from that oatmeal as possible, when that child just needs a piece of beef, or something, some other form of protein than rice. Kwashiorkor. But the gut's amazing. It's like the thyroid. If you don't have enough iodine in your diet, there's thyroid hyperplasia. It grows to try to produce more thyroid hormone. You see this in India, since we were talking about India and starvation. The gut is amazing. The body is amazing. It tries to save its own life. It's really fascinating to me.
Just to comment about that, when I first evolved into a plant-based diet, one of the things that took me a while to figure out is I did experience, for two reasons. One, the low protein diet, and number two, the high amounts of fiber that I was taking with diet. I noticed I would deal with stomach distension.
Mm-hmm.
Right, my stomach would be more distended.
Yes.
And as a bodybuilder person, you're kind of like, that's the opposite of what you want to look like, which is ironic, because I think there's something happening in pro bodybuilders which beyond growth hormone and stomach distension.
Yes, it is.
Right. I think that their body becomes resistant to the high levels of protein they have because their microbiome's not right. And I actually have one of the top Miss Olympia competitors who has used our product and advocates it with all her competitors. And one of the things that she has qualified for me, and I experienced myself, is that L-plantarum is very effective in reducing that, along with masszymes inside the body. And for me, I had to do both that, and then I had to cultivate and develop plant-based protein products that were supportive, because I couldn't get enough protein to support hard training. And that was always the take on vegetarian diets. Hey, right, you get this. So what people look at as, okay, this is, you got distended stomach. What you have to realize is a body is adapting to the conditions.
Right.
It's just adapting to that. It's going to optimize for that environment. So as a smart kind of biohacking, health optimization mentality is like, okay, my body's doing that. So it's telling me I'm not absorbing and utilizing my protein. So is it enzymes? Is it hydrochloric acid? Or is it the proteolytic probiotic? By the way, L-plantarum does a great job on protein. Or am I not getting enough protein from my diet? So there's most people just say, oh, I'm not getting enough protein. No, you're not absorbing the amino acids from your protein. That's the key. And as we get older, we see that same stomach distension start to happen. I can't get my stomach down. Why is that? Well, you're not absorbing your protein. And that was what we talked about at the very start of the metabolic conference. Two things: the buildup in protein inside the cells and an inability to clear it. And the second thing is the ability to deliver the amino acids out of the gut and to your cells. So there's two factors. And enzymes, hydrochloric acid, P through M, I call that the ultimate digestive stack to whatever your diet is going to be. And then, you should see a massive shift in stomach distension.
Definitely. I love my HCL breakthrough from you guys. I mean, I take it in between meals, and it's made my silent GERD go away.
Yeah.
So, okay. So one more, Taylor C has two questions. He's looking for suggestions on the use of P3OM. He was wondering if 2 capsules a day would even be worth it.
Sure. And what I would suggest to you, Taylor, is do the super probiotic yogurt that I mentioned. Take those take 4 to 8 capsules. Mix up 1 coconut. I like the Thai coconuts because they got a good amount of sugar in the coconut oil. You blend it up, put it all in there, put it at a high temperature. Some people will even put it in a container in the stove and run it till 90, 95, because it's going to ferment faster. It will ferment at room temperature, but it's going to take 12,
Longer.
14 hours.
Yeah.
As soon as it gets a little bit sour, put it in your fridge and then eat a few scoops every night. And you'll get about 2 weeks out of that batch. You'll get a lot more probiotics delivered on a daily basis, and you'll see the effect. So that's a way that you can save some money. We always want to be conscientious of your dollars. And I think you not only see that those 2 capsules will be like 10 or 15 capsules. It's the same thing. And L-plantarum is one of those things. The more that you have in your body, the better it's going to work. It doesn't cause dysbiosis like other strains of probiotics. So try that, and I think you'll see a big impact.
Sean Wasson said it helped his reflux tremendously. He uses P3OM and mastimes at every meal. It's been a game changer for him and his 12-year-old daughter. Sean Wasson is also invested in Gunleash.
I love that. Thanks for telling us, Sean. By the way, we read our testimonials from our customers every single week at our team meeting for the whole company. And it's our favorite part because it ties in whether people are in the sales team, the tech, the operations, customer support. Everybody gets to know the difference that we're making in the world. And it's really exciting because that's what we got into this business for. So thank you for sharing that. I'm happy that you and your daughter are noticing benefits. It just lights me up. There's nothing that makes me more excited than hearing somebody's life got better.
Oh, definitely. Taylor C wants to know if he can actually find that recipe somewhere where he can read it.
Just talk to our customer support it by Optimizers. Ask for the super probiotic yogurt, and it's a coconut yogurt, and they'll give you that information, or coconut kefir, some people would call it, but they'll send you that recipe as part of your package.
Ferritin is a protein produced by the liver. It is not an indication of iron, believe it or not. And I've done a deep dive on iron and the horrible things it does to your body when it gets too high. But ferritin is actually, 1 molecule of ferritin can carry 60,000 molecules of iron. So ferritin will elevate from sun exposure. It will also elevate from high doses of vitamin C. I wouldn't worry too much about ferritin. The test you want is TIBC, total iron binding capacity, and direct iron. Those are the numbers you need to look at. Don't be too concerned with ferritin. Craig Hollander says that he posted a study that shows that GH will increase intestine size. Dr. Mauro Di Pasquale did my show numerous times over the years. And back in 2007, we did this show about distended guts. And he dispelled this. He said, while growth hormone can increase the uptake of glutamine into the lining of the intestines, which will make them larger, once you stop taking growth hormone, the glutamine exits the tissue and your stomach will go back. That growth is not permanent. But I would argue that the protruding gut is about something else, because we have distended stomachs in our population across every group of the population. Elderly men, elderly women not using growth hormone, young men, young women not using growth hormone. So there's something else going on with the distension. And I know myself because I had it for a while. And it really, what made it go away was carnivore and hydrochloric acid in between meals. I can tell you that my stomach started to flatten out like almost immediately, and it continues to get flatter and flatter as I do that. But I agree with you. There is an uptake of glutamine into the tissue of the intestines that does make the tissue thicker, but it's completely reversible. The problem that people are having today with their distended stomach, there's actually a study. There was a study that was done, and I read it, and it loosely translated to, there is an increase in the girth of people's stomachs without a in concert increase in fat deposition in their body. So we're talking about distended stomachs at that point in time. All right, look, one more time. I'm going to put the banner up real quick so that you can take advantage of this. I really do believe that everyone should be taking P3OM, and your children should be taking P3OM, and your mother should be taking P3OM. It only can do good. It only can do good. And there's a lot of, new probiotics coming out every single day. None of them have the research behind them over the decades that L-plantarum does. And this form of L-plantarum is supercharged. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3OM, P3-OM, P3-OM. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. And I am actually I just thought about this. I didn't think about it until you talked about it. I'm just going to take P3OM and put it in my yogurt and let it sit out overnight, and I'll eat it the next day. I bet you it's going to be boosted big time.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
Wade, thanks for being here today, man.
Always a slice, Carl. Have a great day.
All right, take care. And we'll see everybody next week. It's Friday. I'm off tomorrow. We'll see you Monday. Take care.